Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. This is just going to be a quick overview of what I'm going to do today. As the title will suggest, I'm going to rework my Wi-Fi Samsung subwoofer. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just that the thing is, it could be more complete in sound wise. So I think it's down to the baffle size and down to the enclosure size. I've already started to take it apart. It was a bit of a hassle trying to get apart. I mean, I had to almost ruin the cover to get it off, but it doesn't matter because we're making something new. The speaker is a 5.5 inch speaker, and as speakers go, it's actually not a bad speaker. It's got quite a nice surround, and the speaker's made by a company called East Tech. Surprise, surprise, it's a Chinese company. So I went online, downloaded all the spec, and it gives you all the technical specifications for it. So I typed it into an online calculator, and the enclosure size is 3 times what this one is. It's at least 1 cubic foot with a 50mm port, 2 centimeters deep. So you can see this is way undersized, because part of this is taken up with the Wi-Fi unit, Wi-Fi receiver, and the amplifier. So the enclosure is only this size, which is tiny really. Alright, so the plan is I'm going to make a new enclosure for it, and then this will be surplus to requirements. I mean, you can hear it's not the strongest of boxes, so there's no padding inside it. So okay, we're going to get on and make the video. There won't be much talking in this. I'm just going to crack on and do the job. Okay folks, so a bit of a disastrous day today. Since I saw you this morning, I did record everything, but when I just played it all back, like 5 hours of footage thereabouts, 3 hours or so hours of footage, none of it came out. It was all too dark. So there you go, my recording skills. Instead of probably making speakers, I should be taking lessons in how to use this bloody mobile phone. Alright, so I thought instead of showing you all the footage of making the enclosure, because I mean there's hundreds of videos, if not thousands of videos on YouTube explaining enclosure size, etc. I thought I'd just show you the components that are inside the Wi-Fi unit. As I said earlier, these things go together once. They're glued, push fit and glued, and that's it. And I couldn't pull it apart. I had to get the jigsaw to it in the end. The speaker we spoke about earlier on. Spoke about the speaker, and I'll just show you the numbers on the back. Actually, I can put it face down, can't I? It won't hurt it for much. Alright, so we've got some little numbers on the back, and as I said earlier, you can go on the website, East Tech website, and get all the data that you need, and then that'll determine the speaker size that the enclosure that you're going to make. Alright, moving on swiftly to this. This is the obviously the Wi-Fi receiver and amplifier. Which bit is weird? That looks probably like a power supply main amplifier stage, and I think we've got something that looks like a Wi-Fi receiver tucked away somewhere. But anyway, yeah, and this is quite good. I mean, I've run this at high volume for probably 2 or 3 hours, and it doesn't get warm, so I've got no concerns about this going inside the subwoofer unit. It's not going to catch fire or anything. On the end of here we've got these 2 LEDs. One's a red one, one's a blue one. Red one's on standby, blue one is when you've got a Wi-Fi signal, and it flashes when it can't detect the soundbar. Yeah, so they can be mounted. I'm going to mount those actually near the port, so they sort of shine a little bit down the port. The other cable, obviously the speaker cable. Okay, and then we've got this bit on the bit that you saw today, which is actually quite nice. It's glossy black. It's a shame to throw it away. It's got a nice little logo on there, little scratch that I've got to polish out, a bit of hair. Nice little logo on there. So what I did was, you saw earlier that it was like probably about 5 centimeters wide. I measured it up and I just got the angle grinder to it. I cut all with the cutting disc, just trimmed it all down to size. Okay, and then sort of ground all the high spots, all the tags off the back. So yeah, so that can go on the back. I've left a bit of a recess on the back. I'll bond it down all sort of dabs all over it so it doesn't resonate. So that's the update. So what I'll do tomorrow, I shall get on with the enclosure. If there's not much to do, a bit of routering to do, then I can get on and stain it and varnish it or whatever I'm going to do. And I'll come back to you when I start to install all the components. Yeah, like a wally, I cut the hole wrong on this port. Let's just try and pop it out. Yeah, it's a pipe fitting, and it was in the bargain bin, so it's a nice bit of brass. So I thought, yeah, that'll do well. So I've cut the end off it, you can see, and flattened it out, and it's going to be just right for my port hole. I've got to just take this edge off. I might just sand that edge off, or I might just leave it. I don't know. Look, this isn't an audiophile type subwoofer. But when I was routing the hole out, I routed it too big. And yeah, okay, measure twice, cut once and all that, and I didn't, did I? So what I'm going to do is, what I'm doing is I'm going to do a filler squeeze. Well, I've started to do it anyway, as you can see it. And all that is the actual design I'm doing. It's going to have a white border around here. Okay, so it doesn't matter that I've removed the wood. Okay, because it's going to be white anyway, which is just as well. So what you do on the filler squeeze is I've got masking tape around here. I've applied it as tight as possible, so I haven't got any like saggy bits around here. Okay. Masking tape is usually about 0.1mm thick, and I'm using 2 bits, so it's 0.2, so it's going to allow for the paint. Not that it has to be that accurate. What you do is, what I did was I put it in place, just put 4 bobs of body filler just to hold it. Then when it had gone off, I'd put more body filler in, okay, and I sanded it back. But when I pulled it out, it chipped this edge a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reapply some body filler, okay, and then squeeze it back into place. That's effectively all it is. It finds its own way, and you can just push it back into the hole like that. And then of course, when you take the tape off, you've got a gap. So when you put the paint on there, there's enough gap for the bezel or the port to fit back in the hole. Alright, so really, yeah, a little bit of filler, a bit more body filler, mix a little bit up, wipe it in here, squeeze it back into the hole, and then that'll be fine. Then I can just sand it off all together. I've got to finish the front of the bezel anyway, so I can just sand it all together then. Okay. So that's the piece now that let me just take it out. As I showed you, it's all cracked the edge, so I just knifed it out a little bit, and put the tape. I showed you the tape around the edge of here. Popped it in place, and then did the filler squeeze. Okay, put the body filler in there, sanded it all down, and then what you do is, because this is going to be polished anyway, it's going to be sanded and polished, so you can sand it through to the masking tape disappears. Then it's easier to pull the piece out. It leaves the masking tape in place. Yeah, so I sanded it all flush, and that's it. So it's all okay now, and we've got a very slight gap. You can see the gap around there. Okay, and that's okay. That's enough for the paint. As you can see, I've filled it, sanded it, and I've got one coat of wipe-on stain on it. It looks a bit rough and ready, but the wood I'm using is it's like cheapo wood. It's 3 centimeters thick, and you get a huge sheet of it for like 40 quid. It's nothing. But I just wanted to show you this. Earlier on we talked about the filler squeeze, you know, and you can see the gap now. Okay, this has come up okay. That's my pipe fitting, you know, so I just sanded the top and polished it with a bit of mother's polish. This stuff over here, bit of this stuff. Yeah, it's brilliant stuff. The hole doesn't look particularly fantastic, but that really doesn't matter. Let's put that in place. Oh. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so I was just wanting to show you that. I did the same for this piece as well, because I needed to sand this chamfer on here. It's a bloody nightmare with this wood. Doesn't sand very nice at all. So I ended up sanding it oversize, and then getting a pudding basin, pudding bowl, putting the fill around the hole, body fill, and just squashing it into place and leaving it, and then just releasing it and just tidying up the edges. So it seemed to work all right. Here's the next part of it. Just going to do some taping up to do the border. It's just finding something that size really. So I found a pan for cooking, so we're going to use that. So I've used that, and then just a tin of varnish, which seemed to be about the right sort of size to do this bit. So I'm going to cut this out and then paint that inside section white. In case you're wondering, this is what happened to the old subwoofer. You can see I had to take it apart, do a bit of surgery on it. So this is the surround. You remember this bit on the back that had that shiny cover on it? And you can see on here, you can see where I went round with the angle grinder with the cutting disc on it to take that cover off. Okay, and then the box itself, I had to cut it down the centre. I pulled the port out and cut it down the centre. Okay, this is what we had on the inside. And this is what I was saying about how it's pushed together and screwed. You see these upstands here? Okay, you see them all going around the edge of the box. They came through the box here. Okay, so I had to drill through, wiggle the drill, and then that would come away. And on the inside of there is the bit that housed the Wi-Fi receiver and amplifier. Small hole in the box there that the speaker wire came through, and then of course this was the part that held the speaker. So here we are so far. So last night I did the taping up, and as I showed you, this is what we got so far. Yeah, it just breaks the speaker up a little bit, you know, so it doesn't just look like one big solid white block. I made it a little bit textured as well, the finish on the paint. A little bit of a texture to it, inadvertently, because that's what the roller gave me. But no, it looks okay. So now we're going to get a couple of coats of polyurethane varnish on it. Before we carry on, I thought I'd just show you an overview of the board that goes on the bottom of the sub, the closing panel, if you like. This is just a scrap bit of wood that I had kicking around. I was running a bit low on wood, so it's just a thick bit of MDF. It's an old bedside tabletop. Got a hole in the bottom there. That's holes in the two LEDs, you know, the red and the blue LED. That's just here. That's just been hot glued in place. Okay, the actual circuit board itself, that's also been hot glued in place. Yeah, I mean, I could have made some little upstands, you know, and drilled through and held it in place, but this is absolutely fine. It's going to be on the bottom in this orientation, so it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to sit there, and it's strong as well. I could almost pick this up with that circuit board. It's that strong. Power cable, just a couple of staples just to hold it. They're not, but you focus on the camera. They're not tight, you know. They're just literally touching it. And here as well, so they're not penetrating the cable at all. What else we got? Okay, so we got this pencil, because what we got here, there's a little button there, that little push button, that little and that's for resetting the unit. You know, if the subwoofer loses Wi-Fi connection, or it gets a bit out of sync, you can reset this button. So of course, you know, that's got to go access from the outside. So I've drilled a hole in the speaker cabinet in the back, and this pencil is going to go through the hole in the back. Let's focus in again, this camera. Let's focus in the back, and it's going to line up with that speaker hole. So It's only like half a mil movement. It's nothing. So the tip of this pencil will be sticking out the back of the speaker box, but you won't see it. It'll be slightly recessed. Okay. That's pretty much it, really. Yeah, you've got the speaker cable here. Yeah. And that's pretty much all I can say about this. And a little bit of sound deadening. Just to keep a few things under control. Right, so here we have the finished speaker. Yeah, it turned out okay. I gave it 3 coats of polyurethane varnish over 3 days. You know, give it a coat, then 24 hours sanded it and gave it another coat. Yeah, it came out quite nice. The white accent around the speaker and the porthole, as I explained before, it was a bit of a mistake on the bottom anyway. You know, I cut the hole too big, so that covered that up quite nicely. The feet came from just a DIY shop, just some metal feet, but it seems to set it off quite nicely. And then you've got the LED showing underneath, you know, when it's on and connected to the soundbar. Yeah, the sound, well, I tried to do a sound test earlier on and the microphone just wasn't picking it up. I mean, it's just distorting. You can imagine I haven't got a proper microphone, so I'm afraid I'm not going to give you a sound demo. I just can't get it to sound right. But as far as an improvement over the old soundbar, the old subwoofer box, it's a huge improvement. It really is a huge improvement. Yeah, very pleased with it. Yeah, no boominess, no mid-range boomy sound. A lot deeper, a lot tighter, the bass seems to be anyway. So yeah, very pleased with it, very pleased. Alright, well, okay, well, thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next video.